Well, our weather finally broke around here, so things are going to change. And I think as of about an hour from now, and all day tomorrow and the next day and a couple days coming up, I'm going to be doing nothing but shooting. And if everything works out and I don't break anything, I don't think I'm going to be doing any recording for a couple of weeks because I got all my guns back together. The weather finally broke. We're going into winter now. Of course, the weather didn't break until they, until our local health and safety people got a chance to smear egg all over their face. This is actually funny. I'm gonna go get this. I took a screenshot of this. This is just too good. Last time when I left you, we had fires going, and that was only about a week and a half. Well, not even. It was only less than a week ago. But this started coming through. Our phone started to blow up, and it's retarded. Check this out. Go now. I didn't get the whole thing, but this is just me standing in front of my phone. Go now. Big bolds. Evacuate immediately. Cressa DNR. Travel south toward the rear. Blah blah blah. Failure to evacuate may result in injury or death. You can't read the death because I didn't get it right. We're working on opening up a shelter is what this is saying, Nokia Creek Fire. But here's the thing. We're family people here. We grew up in a world of sackets and looking out for each other and what have you. We didn't know all the feel-good tropes that buttons that were being pushed, and all we knew is that we like this stuff because we're family people, and so we look out for each other. And when you throw and evacuate immediately for fear of death out in the middle of a rural area like this, I find that to be, boy, I don't even know what word to use. Let's just say it's kind of hard on some of the old people. We got old people, elderly people, calling women staying at home. They get this thing pops up on their phone, says, leave now. Head south, find the shelter, or you might die. So we're banging. I mean, my son and I, my wife was out on the East Coast at the time when this thing came in. And my son and I were working, and he came trotting down from the house. And he's like, what is this? I don't even see any fire. It's smoky and whatever. But this says you and I are supposed to pack up and leave the premises now or we're going to die. And he's 14, and he obviously wasn't running scared. But the point is, our government is so out of hand and so stupid and so retarded. I mean, it's one thing to hype up a storm that's coming in or hype up whatever and everybody goes and cleans the stores out, but to send out everybody's our phones are all blowing up and there's two flashing deals on the side and a flashing traffic cone type thing. Leave now, evacuate immediately or you might die. Anyway, all I'm saying is, the dry spell is over, and I'm back to shooting, but I want to bring us up to speed before I just take a week or two off, or 3 or whatever, as we're getting this, I'm just going to go hardcore shooting. And one of the things I thought about is that I don't think I've ever mentioned before, is one of the practices that I rely on when I'm shooting. I've got all 4 of these big pigs up and running all of a sudden. And I'm going to give you a little overview on them, but that's neither here nor there. Simple fact, I'll let you know where they are, but where they are is, they're all running. They're all, excuse me, we're shooting. We are, I'll go through, I'm going to reopen this one, this being the screen door. It is 100 per. This one has a March scope on it. Everything is tight. The only problem I have with this gun is the fact that due to its lightness and the small muzzle brake, the way it sits right now, it's still under 17 pounds. And I still can knock it down to 15, but I don't know if I'm gonna. I might back off on that one. I'm gonna wait till I get these things shooting because so far, sometimes I call it shooting for effect, But so far, all I've done is run these things through the paces and find out if they're close or not. I'm going to get that camera set up so I can make sure I get... You'll have to excuse the lighting in here. The lighting in here is dumb. And I'm sorry for that. But this is a big empty room that we cleared out because my dad stayed in here for a while. And now I'm just using it for overflow while I'm going through for basically overflow for my video stuff. So all through this, one of the guns that you really haven't seen much of is this Noreen gun. I've showed it. I pointed it out just a little. You know what it is. But this has got a, we're trying out a loopholed Mark V HD, which seems to be a pretty good scope. But for the first time, this gun is together and ready to, it's bedded, it's relieved, it's cleared. I added a whole bunch of screws in the bottom. I don't know if you can see those. But this guy was, it's cobbled still, but now it's stout. The big thing was it only had 2 hold-down screws for this big. This is the Noreen action, of course, in the Beast 2 stock. Totally conventional, except that I bedded in a big aluminum block. It's all bedded now. It's all solid. It's got the extra screws. This stock should react spot on. Everything should be solid like a bench rest gun should be. We're doing bench rest practices, which brings me to an interesting thing. One of the things that I do, and it's going to come up because we're going into fall, I use bench rest guns as weather reports. In the spring and in the fall, well, in the spring and the dead, every time except middle warm summer breezy, we get, and even then at night and in the morning, we get something that I call gremlins. There's times where I can go out to the range, look down, put out flags. Flags are just, when the flags are just doing this, it's scary. But the gremlins come. We just fought it just as the weather turned 2 days ago. I had a friend here and he was testing an accurate hunting gun, and I said, hey, leave your gun on the bags. Bend down, look really, really tight, and when you come back, as he was loading and shooting and loading and shooting and loading, and I do this a lot, and the way I'm set up right now, I blocked off a door, so I can't literally roll over and shoot. I have to walk 50 feet. So I load and I shoot, and I load and I shoot if I'm weighing charges. And sometimes what I'll do is I'll set my bag, set my gun on the bags rock solid, make sure it's lined exactly, walk away, come back with another 2 or 3 or 5 loads, and then check to see if the crosshairs have moved. This used to happen to me, and I used to think, oh, my bags are settling or something. No, the bags don't settle, the bags don't move, the bags are good. You can do it with a railgun. It's something that Harold Vaughn called slow mirage. So we're going into fall, we have to start checking for gremlins and slow mirage as we get these hot weather, cold ground, hot weather, hot ground, cold weather, moisture changes. One of the things I do a lot is I've got 7 or 8 PPCs in the background. I keep a few of them tuned up. And if I'm out here and I'm not getting exactly what I want, because as I'm moving into this 50 BMG thing, and I've been doing the Revenant along with it, it's just been an endless series of not getting what I want. Not. Promising you bug holes, not getting bug holes. And by the way, bug holes are not a one-hole group. I just was reading, again, on one of the forums, and somebody posted, oh, my gun shoots bug holes. And he's got groups shaped like chickens and cows and turtles and butterflies, and the fact that you shoot the paper out of the group doesn't make it a bug hole. Bug holes are round. That's why they're called bug holes. They look like a single shot. So, in this 50 BMG, a quarter-minute group is going to look like a bug hole, because this stinking gun is a ½ inch to begin with. But anyway, I digress. The point is that one of the tricks, and I need any of you that are prototyping or testing are really curious about accuracy. I'm going to say something I haven't said for a couple of years. If you really want to pursue this accuracy road, whether you shoot competition or not, you owe it to yourself to go out and buy a known quantity. It can be ugly, it can be cheap, but it has to be a known quantity. 6 PPC. Or spend your $3,000, $3,500 and get one. Whether it's built, go to Shooter's Corner, go to whatever. Shooter's Corner, one thing about Bob out there at Hopatcong, New Jersey, Shooter's Corner on the list. If he tells you a gun has got a pedigree, it's got a pedigree. It will shoot bug holes. So where I'm going with this is, in the spring when the weather's unsettled, in the fall when the weather's unsettled, in the winter when the weather's unsettled, in the winter when you're shooting over snow, in the summer when the mirage is basically all the time. The hard thing about this game is figuring out, is it me or is it the gun? Or is it something else entirely? I've shot enough that I've had some busted guns on this video series. I mean, seriously busted. I set out and I'm going to show off and I get a busted gun. Well, now I've got 4 of these up and running. But at some point in there, you don't know if a gun is shooting or not. You're like, I don't know, is it the wind, is it the weather, is it me, is it gravitational anomalies? Do I need to work on a load? Do I need a blah, 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 blah. So, get a good gun. I have PPCs. I'll go tune up a PPC, get it bugging. If it can't bug, I've always got 2 or 3 tuned up that I know are in competitive trim. And if they don't bug, I go, wait, there's gremlins. But bottom line is, all I do is I take a break and I go do some PPC stuff because I know what a PPC does. And if it doesn't crisp right up, you can know that there's something going on. I keep nodding this way because that's where I'm in the same room as where I shoot from. But it's off to this side. We're turned the other way because that's all cluttered up. It's coming up on hunting, it is hunting season. And I got people coming in and boom, boom, people shooting out both windows and people testing stuff, and it's a mess over there. So, a known quantity PPC to check conditions. Now, this only occurs if you're down in the quarter minute stuff. Anybody that's shooting groups with holes, random flyers, just go shoot and shoot and shoot and shoot and learn. But at some point, when you start getting down to where you are shooting around one hole groups and you're trying to get the ragged out, get those into round, it pays to have a known gun, a good gun. I've got 6x47s that'll do it, a couple of 6.5x47s, couple of 6.5 Creedmoors that shoot stupid good, and of course PPCs and 22 BRs. I've even got a few 6 BRs, but I don't even bother to screw those on anymore because I went through this whole phase in my life when I set out to prove that the 6 PPC wasn't magic and that you could build something else that was, and I proved that. But whether the 6 PPC is magic or not is immaterial. The 6 PPC is like the 350 Chevy of accuracy. It has a whole support group behind it. So just do a PPC. PPCs are easy, PPCs work. If PPCs don't make a hole, a round hole, you're doing something wrong. So I use those as the gremlins come in. It's pretty much year round, but through the summer we had 3 or 4 or 5, 6 months of good consistent 70. Up to 90, down to 60 degree, and never out here do we get fast changes. We had consistent winds. It was like, you know, I didn't even put flags out. I went shot, 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 shot. Now I'm going to probably have to dink around with some flags or a probe. But more than that, I'll have to, Lord forbid, shoot some PPC. Find out what the conditions are. Find out if I'm good. So, we moved the things we were fixing. Were the, as I left off one of the episodes, I got rid of the rock and roll in the 5-piece billet. This is rolling. I've got the Delrin channels on here. I've got the flex taken care of down inside. I flipped these over. These are bolted on the other way, and I convinced myself that this whole assembly was flexing because I got these little thin. Anyway, long story short, I got this guy. She still ain't pretty, but the 5-piece billet is now 100% done with that back and forth in the wide groups thing. It's shooting dead on vertical. That's all I needed. From vertical, I can work with bags and tune and blah, 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 blah. What I can't work with is when the gun's doing this, which means twisting, flick, whatever. The big 5-piece billet is working fine, but way big over and above. This is why I want to throw this on before I wrap up, because if I do some recording, you're going to see this. I got the brake built. I think I might just show this off for a second. This is a brake. This is the gun that I broke the brake on. This is the gun that I shattered the brake. Now, this hole right here is to leave some strength back here so I don't shatter this one. I did the stress, I was gonna say I did a stress analysis on this. Let's make it really clear, guys. We deal with so-called smart people, we deal with engineers, we deal with all these people that pretend like, well, we've learned a lot through this COVID epidemic, what expert really means. An expert did a stress analysis and he found such and such. Well, you know what a stress analysis is? Stress analysis means sit your sorry butt down and stare and think a little. No engineering degree, no amount of setup of problems, no amount of structuring, no amount of computer analyses can take the place of good thinking. I deal with engineers all the time, every day, who can crank the numbers, but they can't set up a test. They can't test, they can't design, they can't fix to save their soul. So stress analysis is, here's what happened. I made a brake, I made it certain sized. I didn't, as I'm holding this up, notice that there are no, everything is radiused on here. There are no stress risers on this. The brake that I busted, I laid it on a side and I went boom, 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 boom. I milled this thing out quick and dirty. It was fast to make. It was super light. And I didn't have to do all this reset-up stuff where I radius everything. And I got it too wimpy in here and it broke. So this gun has been down for a long time. And I just want to bring it up and say, now there, my peeps, is some freaking impact plates. This thing is a little heavy and I've got some room to lighten it up. But my big, bad, best billet gun is back on the rack jack, back in rotation. So we're going to be shooting all, and it's got all the screws. This thing analyzes out, and it's, I weighed the components. I have to do the math in my head, 24 pounds right now. This is a walk around hunting gun if you want to. And this is the one that has the Genesis on it. The only weak link left in this is the possibly the scope base is not secured. It's only secured with 3/4 20 screws and some hardened steel pins, 3 pins, over a little 2.5 inch long, maybe 3 inch long section. That's a lot of big scope to be sitting over. This right here is a 12 to 15,000 pound gun in the sense that it shoots full blower loads that in a 30 inch plus barrel would produce, in a 36 inch barrel, the loads that this gun shoots would produce 14 tons of energy. Just standard. Understand that it's still producing that energy even in this short barrel where I cut the racetrack off. The point is, this thing is slapping hard, and all that energy that would translate to 7 tons of muzzle energy. Just because I shorten the barrel don't be fooled into thinking that that doesn't bat this gun around just as hard. In fact, worse. It's a light gun. So we're talking about. But the exciting thing is, it's up and it's running. I'm going to be able to run all 4 of these now. So I'm gearing up. I'm getting ready. I am on the cusp of actually working these down, bringing in a couple of known accurate guns, turning my head off of you and on to shooting. And I fully expect to bring home some groups out of this, or at least document the idiosyncrasies of each of these guns. And for the first time, I have one of them that I've shot well. That best billet I shot for a little while, busted it. This 5-piece billet has never been, all I did was earlier, a couple video series ago, a couple of episodes ago, I got rid of the rock and roll. The screen door has never really been shot up to velocity that much, and the Noreen's never been shot for effect because I didn't get it built. I've been all this stuff I had to do. So I took some time off from taping, got everything up and running. Now I'm ready to shoot and find out where we are and what we can do. And before I shut down for weeks, hopefully I'll have videos brought up so that it won't impact the way they come out. But the biggest thing is I'm going to shut my brain off from entertainment mode to accuracy mode and start making some holes in the target. And this camera's going to probably go into hibernation for a few weeks unless I run into something super interesting. Well, I did get a drone. Speaking of that, as I mentioned, I got a drone. And I'm working on getting it hooked up to the live screen. Maybe we'll get some live screen shooting, I don't know. I want to be able to run the drone down, and I've got parking places down there. I built little platforms, run the drone down, sit it on. It should hold battery for 5 or 6 hours while I shoot. I would really love, that's the next thing before I start and when I'm shooting. I'm gonna try set up so I can get a live video feed. Just in case I get into a run where we get some interesting progressions. Or just so you can watch these things flop me around like a fish on the table. Because, holy cow, man, they make a lot of recoil. So that was that. Just in there in a room with weird pink lighting and throwing a few more ideas on the table. I'd be going to go shoot over the next week or 3.